Hey, ladies and gentlemen, I'm testing out a new microphone tonight. Let me know what you think. I don't know what it'll be like, but just, I don't know. Do you like this one? Do you like the other one? Let me know. This one's actually in my, so if you don't know the story, I left my headphones in my hotel room in Morwell. So, very, very annoying, but I actually left them in the hotel room, and I had to buy a replacement set very quickly, and I got these ones from Amazon, and they've been pretty good. I mean, I miss my Sonys, but hey, let me know if these ones are any good. Hold on, maybe I can do it like this. Yeah, that seems okay. Yeah, let me know if the sound quality is as good as my other microphone. If it's not, I'll change it over and I'll plug in the big microphone. But if these ones are all right, then maybe we can do this. I've got no cords or anything. It's very interesting. All right, but not as good as the big microphone. All right. Okay. Let me do some. Okay. All right. Let me plug in the big microphone. I didn't know how good the microphone quality would be. I wanted to test it very briefly before we got started.
Speaker. Okay. There you go. We're back on the other microphone. All right, let me get a thing up. So today was day 8 of the Erin Patterson trial, and it was another busy day. The days have started to get like a lot more busy. Each day has sort of had more and more sort of like witnesses and things to listen to. Today was actually quite a long day, even though it was I don't know what you want to call it. Just, it was a really long day. Hey, good to see you all. Hey, good to see you. Hey, I'm here. Hey, to all the people that I meet every day. If for some reason you stop by the channel, you're like, who was that guy sitting up the back? Let me check out who he is online. Hey, good to see. I'm not going to name you all. I feel like that would be some sort of privacy thing, but I'll say, hey, good to see you all. Good to see all the people I meet every day doing the trial. There's some really nice people that I see basically every day. So, yeah, some nice people from different papers and news agencies and things like that. News agency, is that the correct word? News bureau, maybe is a better word. News bureau. There's a couple people from the Guardian. There was a couple people from, I think, the Age. It was it? No, I don't know if it was the Age. I'm not sure, but I know at least 2 of them are from the Guardian, and they're really nice. I see them every day. They're lovely people, both of them. They're really, really nice, and yeah, lots of lovely people at the trial. Lots of lovely people. So today was like I said, a very busy day. We started off the day with Dr. Foote. So we actually finished yesterday with some of her cross examination, and today we picked that back up in the morning after the jury had come in. That went for like maybe about 40 minutes or something like that, and then we switched over to Kylie Ashton. Kylie Ashton, and she is the director of nursing at Leongatha Hospital. And she gave some evidence today. But there's a section I think I really like to report to you. And I commented on Twitter today, but I want to read you the actual thing about it. And it's about Erin leaving the hospital and how that all played out, how that all like sort of went down. And Kylie was there for it, and she gave in her evidence today sort of some of the things that happened. Sean says, because these days the press don't fight while charging a few. Hey, you have not seen the media area and how many power plugs there are for laptops. You wait, there could be fights. That room gets full, there might be punch-ons. I'm telling you. Everyone's got a laptop and everyone's got a flat laptop. Everyone's always plugged in, I'm telling you. My laptop lasts like 2 days of writing. Their one dies every 3 hours. I don't know why. But anyway, yeah. they fight over power plugs now to plug in the laptops. No, they don't. Actually, we've got heaps of power plugs. It's like every couple of rows or something. There's a whole bunch of them, so you can plug in, and it's really well set up, so everyone gets like a chance to charge their stuff. It's really good. All right, Kylie Ashton. Kylie Ashton. I just want to give her respect, and I want to give her like her proper sort of titles and things like that. So let me go up here. I feel like that's like the fair thing to do with people, is to treat them with respect and give them like like what they do for a job, what they're qualified in, that type of thing. So let me move down here in my notes. All right. So Kylie Ashton, and they ask her like, what does she do? What's your occupation? And her occupation is Director of Nursing and Midwifery at Gippsland Southern Health Service, Leongatha campus. And they ask if she's a qualified nurse. She says, yeah, I'm a registered nurse and a registered midwife. And she's currently studying for a master's in nursing leadership and management. And they ask her, were you in the same role during at July 23 around that time? And she says, correct. And they said, how long had you been in that role? And she said, around 6 months formally. And she said she was in an acting role as well from about September 2022 until about February 23 of 23. And they said, so that's sort of her titles. I don't want to go too much into that bit, but that's sort of her, status. She's Director of Nursing. And I want to take you down to this bit about Erin Patterson and the conversations they had with her wanting to leave the hospital and how that thought process played out. So let me scroll down here. And let me get you the person who's asking the questions. We've had a few different people, so let me get the correct. It's Miss Warren. So Miss Warren is another person on the prosecution, and I will refer to her as Miss Warren. And let me bring you down here. So they asked Kylie Ashton, when did you first become aware of Erin Patterson? And like the way they word it is aware of her presence. But it basically means, when did you become aware that she was there? And Kylie says it was around somewhere between 8 o'clock and 8:05 in the morning, so 8 a.m. in the morning. She says, I had been assisting with running some pathology at our point of care testing, and Dr. Webster, who you remember from yesterday, Dr. CW, had met with Erin at our triage window, and at some point had asked me to take over care and do some observations. So CW handed her over between 8 a.m. and 8:05 a.m., and then I met Erin and brought her through to the seats in our unit. And so they're asking about what this is. What do you mean seats? And they say she replies, opposite the nurses station as far as I could get her to come into the unit for an assessment. So what they wanted to do is they wanted to check her out. They wanted to make sure she was okay. Like, what were her vital signs? Is she showing any symptoms of this gastro slash death cap mushroom poisoning? And to see whether she was following the same trajectory as the other people, because they already had like 4 very sick people, and they were worried that Erin was going to be the same, go down the same route. So they really, really wanted to make sure she was doing okay. And they go through here. They ask, and when you say that, as far as you could get her to come into unit, what do you mean by that? Kylie replies, Erin wasn't ready or willing to come through to a bay for a more formal assessment at that point. And they go, were you asking her or trying to get her to come through to the bay at that point? And Kylie replies, Yes, I was, because that would be generally where we do an assessment. And she says, knowing what we knew about the other four members, it was pretty important to do a thorough assessment. So they already knew about Ian, Heather, Don, and Gail, and how sick they were. They were getting ready to be transferred, I believe, at this time, or had been transferred to Dandenong. So they had already been through these hospitals. They saw how ill they were. And when Erin came in and they realized that she was connected to that same luncheon, they were like, oh my God, we may have a fifth person. We really have to check her out and make sure she's okay. So that's what they're trying to do here. They're trying to give her that initial assessment to see what's going on with her. And I'll continue here. It says, they asked, did you have a conversation with Erin at that point? And Kylie replies, yes, I did. I would have asked permission to take her observations and talk to her around what was going on with the other members, letting her know that they were quite unwell and that it was important that we did a thorough assessment. And they ask her here, did you ask her why she had attended the hospital or what had caused her to attend the hospital? Ashley, Kylie Ashton says, yes, I did. Part of our initial conversation was, what brought you here? Like, what are your symptoms? Can you tell me why you're at the hospital presenting today? And they ask her as a follow up, what were her response or did she tell you? And Kylie Ashton says, she told me she had been the fifth member of a lunch and that she had consumed the meal that was prepared and that she had diarrhea and nausea, but no vomiting. And they ask her, did she attend the hospital on her own or what, on her own volition? Kylie replies, yes. She said that she just, came here out of her own concern. All right. And they ask here, what did you say to her about what needed to happen next? What would your role need to be? And Kylie says, I was firstly just getting through a thorough assessment, so checking her out. Given that everyone else was severely unwell, we needed to make sure she was well. So we would need to do a thorough assessment and bring her to a bay. Then she would probably need to go on the NAC or NAC treatment. This is a liver protection drug. And the way they explained it today is this drug, while they can be used for death cap mushroom poisoning, it's more commonly used for people who have a paracetamol overdose. So people who have like paracetamol overdose, it hurts the liver, and they use this NAC to protect the liver. And they were going to do it in this case too to try and protect the livers of the four people plus Erin Patterson. So she would have been started on that NAC treatment as well. And they go on later in this testimony, you'll hear that they actually ran out of this medication, the NAC. They'd used so much of it on Don and Gail and the other people that they had none left. They had none left for Erin. They had to actually source it from a different place. So you'll hear that a bit later, and we'll go into it a bit more. But they actually had used up all their stockpiles of it. They didn't have any more of this medication. They just don't carry very much. Apparently, they just don't use it a ton, and it's not a problem that comes up like all the time. So they keep like a few doses on hand, and they had just used it all up. So it was no more left. So, hey Chip, how are you? Good to see you. Good to see all of you. Just a reminder, um, I had a bit of blowback today from a person on Twitter that said that, I'm a bad person because I won't let them state their opinion about the case or Erin. And that other YouTubers are letting people say things. Yeah, other YouTubers aren't sitting in the fucking Supreme Court. I am. Every day. In the Supreme Court. So you tell me what other YouTubers got on the list, because I asked the team at the Supreme Court. I was the only one that was not traditional media that was allowed in. So you can go to some other fucking YouTube channel where they don't know anything and they're reading fucking articles and shit, or you can actually come here and get the information from the person who was sitting in the court all day. You know, some people are so far up their own fucking ass that they can't see the fucking sun. Sorry, it really upset me because some people just don't get it. Some people just don't get it. There's a difference. Bullshit YouTuber who has no idea and isn't in the courtroom isn't going to be on the watch list for the Supreme Court. Guy sitting in the Supreme Court who had to hand over all of my ID, my address, my like everything to be there, they know who I am. They know all my social media. They know all my YouTube stuff. Who do you think's going to get brought up first? Random YouTuber who's got no connection to the trial, or me? The guy sitting there every day with like staff from the Supreme Court. It's going to be me, right? Good. I'm glad we all understand. Laura T says, how rude. Sorry they said that to you. Some people are just fucking thick as fuck. They just are. And they can't handle when people won't let them have their own opinion. In 2 weeks, you can say whatever you want. It's just now. Just give it, just abide by the rules. That's all I'm asking you. So I don't go to jail. It's not hard. Keep your opinions to yourself just for now. You want to go off to a sketchy fuckhole YouTuber down the road? Go. Fuck off, as far as I'm concerned. I'm so over it. Yeah. Go. Heather says he must be talking about overseas YouTubers. They don't know anything. They're reading articles from the Guardian or the ABC. Were they in court? No. They weren't. Did they travel to Morwell? No, they didn't. Were they there for opening statements? No, they weren't. So, there you go. That was one of the very, very few times I have snapped on this channel. I think it's happened twice in 2 years. People just don't know what the hell they're talking about. Wendy R says people and their overrated opinions are tiresome. Oh, should we calm down again now? All right. Sorry about the swearing. It's been a long day. It's been a long day, and that really triggered me because I was just like, you don't know what you're talking about. You have no idea. You don't understand what goes into this. To get into that courtroom and all that, I had to hand over everything about me. Not Ping, not Nights with Ping, my freaking birth certificate and my driver's license and billing stuff for my home and that. It's not like I just rocked up to the court and sat in the back. I'm considered media now, for this trial. I'm not considered a general public. I'm media. So I have to abide by the same rules as The Guardian, The Age, name a paper. Name a freaking media person. That's the difference. Person, YouTuber, whoever over here, they got nothing. They're just reading comments and stuff from the Guardian. I'm sitting next to the Guardian every day. Sean says, I've read some doozies on the mainstream media bagging Australia for not televising this. Oh well. Good work. It's not televised, not live streamed either. You have to be there. So, anyway, I'm sorry for swearing. Shall we get back to it? Shall we get back to the Kylie Ashton? All right, let's get back to Kylie Ashton. All right. So they're talking about this NAC treatment, and she says it's a prophylactic. to make sure we preserve her liver from toxins. So she's talking about Erin here. We want to get her started on the NAC. And they say, and then she would probably be potentially transferred out to where a high level of care would be. So probably somewhere like Dandenong as well. She would probably go to Dandenong as well. Like that was probably going to be the end game. Somewhere like that, a tertiary hospital. So she probably wouldn't get a ton of care at Leongatha. She'd probably be there very, very quickly for an assessment and then be pushed through. Sean says many mainstream media pages don't allow comments. No, that's under direction from the Supreme Court. We're not allowed to. I posted my advice that I was given from them on my Twitter, and it says you're not supposed to have comments open. Kalisa says that's crazy. I had no idea the courtroom there is so strict. Wow, all these people can just F off, right? We appreciate you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Like I put in, 8 hours a day at court. I come home, I modify all my notes, and then I do the live shows for you. Like it's 12, 14 hours a day, like doing it. So, when people say stuff like that and they have no real understanding of what's actually going on, it upsets me because like I put so much time and effort into this to be there every day and make sure you guys have the freshest information. Now, you can probably go to the Daily Mail or the Guardian. They had some of the information that, I'll tell you a little story from today. I was on the train home and I got in the car and Mrs. Ping was like, "Oh, I heard this on the radio." I was like, "What?" I was like, "I just got out of court and we were just listening to it as I left court." That's how fast the news travels. But I will give you some more context and the things that I saw that are not reported. While I can report it, but they just don't give you that context, I will give it to you a little bit later. All right, let's talk about this assessment. And they say, so this is Miss Warren, and she says, "So you said all these things to her at this point when she's still seated." And Kylie Ashton says, "Yeah, somewhere in that 5-minute interaction." And they talk about this interaction a little later on under cross-examination. And they talk about how they're trying to pinpoint, like, wow, all this information, but it happens so quickly. How are you able to remember? So they were sort of quizzing Kylie Ashton about it. They're like, "You're saying this is only like a 5-minute thing. You met Erin, you talked to her, you found out all this stuff, and then she was gone." And we'll get to it. I'll show it to you in a minute. And they were sort of like probing her about how could you know so much in about 5 minutes. And she's like, "Well, I was just listening. There was a lot of yelling and, words being said." So I'll tell you about that in a minute. Nicole. Hey, Nicole. Good to see you. Nicole says, "Will a transcript of the trial ever be made available?" I don't know, but I can find out. I can ask the Supreme Court whether that's a possibility. I don't think so, though. From my understanding, I don't believe one will be available. It's available, I think, to some people, like family maybe or something like that, but not sure about the general public. I think what's available to the general public is our reporting. That's why we're allowed there, is so that we can tell you what happened. Yeah. So there you go. And they say here, they ask Kylie, and this is from Miss Warren again, "Now, did you take any observations, any vital observations?" And Kylie says, "Yes, I did. I took her blood pressure, heart rate, and temperature." And they said, in a follow-up conversation, you had further conversations with Erin, is that correct? And it's worded like this. Miss Warren asked, "You had further conversations with her around that time or after you'd taken the observations, is that right?" And she says, Kylie Ashton says, "Yes." And then they ask, "What was said in those conversations?" And Kylie replies with this. Erin had identified that she was the person that cooked the meal served on that day, and that her children weren't present at the lunch on that day, but that her children had consumed leftovers of the meal without mushrooms. She continues to say, "With the mushrooms scraped off, the next day for lunch? And they follow up this question with another question and they say, did she say what time the meal had been consumed? And Kylie Ashton says, I think it was 12 p.m. on Saturday, but not the time when her children consumed it. Then they ask about the symptoms. Had she had any symptoms commenced? And the question's worded, did she say when her symptoms had commenced? And Kylie replies, on the evening of Saturday the 29th, I think it was. And they say, did she go into further details about those symptoms? Kylie says, no, just that it was diarrhea, nausea, and vomiting. And further down in this bit, they ask about this. They ask about this sort of like Erin wanting to leave the hospital, not wanting to stay, and there's an exchange between them. And we saw this on. Well, we hold on. I'll show it to you. I will show it to you. I'll tell you about it. They ask Kylie, did you make any further attempts to get her to move into a cubicle or treatment bay? Kylie replies, I did. Probably our whole interaction was me trying to communicate the importance of getting thoroughly checked and that I was concerned for her welfare and really wanted to make sure we gave her the very best of treatment and got her the care she needed while she was with us. So they just really wanted to look after her and make sure she wasn't, getting sicker. They didn't want to make sure she was going to get really ill like the other people like within hours, because those other people went downhill very quickly, and they were worried about Erin too. And they asked, did you say anything in response to that? And what they're asking here is that in a couple of questions earlier, they said, what was Erin's response to that information about being, wanting to get her checked and concerned for her welfare? And Kylie replies that she had not come to the hospital prepared to be admitted and that she needed to go away and sort out her children. And then they ask, did you say anything in response to that comment? Kylie says, yes, I implored her to stay and suggested we really needed to assess her. Just kept trying to encourage her to the bay, so to like the medical bay. At some point, she got up and said she couldn't stay and that she needed to leave, which I would have told her that she needed to sign a discharge against medical advice form because it was our strong recommendation that she stayed and continued with medical treatment that was required to keep her safe and well. And they say here, did you explain to her why it was so important that she stay and be assessed and receive treatment? Kylie says, yeah, I believe so. It was very short, rapid communication. I explained that 4 other people were very unwell. They're going to be transferred out and were in very poor condition. 2 were with us in also a similarly poor condition that we were prepping to transfer to a bigger hospital for higher acuity care. So they were trying to get them out to a hospital that had more facilities, more testing, things like that. Places that could have like more acute testing. Some of them have like labs inside, can do blood tests on site, that type of thing. Some of these smaller regional hospitals are not able to. They don't have the same equipment that some of the bigger ones do. I don't believe the documentary for Stan will be sort of like a chronological of the trial. It's more the story of the case overall. And that's all I can tell you. They said, what did you tell Erin about the risk? And they word it like this. What, if anything, did you say to her about the seriousness of the risk that she was in? And Kylie says that her life was at risk. These guys were really unwell. I think we had 2 members in ICU at the time. I was trying to communicate that as quickly and seriously as I could to try and make sure She understood that this was quite a serious situation for her own health and well-being. And they're just asking here, one of the follow-up questions was, did she give any other reasons why she couldn't be admitted and have treatment? So this is Erin Patterson. And the question's worded like this. Did she give any other reasons or did she provide similar reasons about not being able to be there? So that's the context about not being able to be there. And they say, Kylie says, it was just the same reason on repeat. I haven't come prepared to be at hospital. I'm not ready to be admitted. I need to go away and get things organized. Kylie says she did agree that she would come back. I did get her to agree that it was important enough that she needed to come back. I asked her how long she needed to go away and do things she needed to do to get her in a position where she could come back and consent to care, and she said around 20 minutes. So we agreed to that, and that was what was documented in my notes on the day. A follow up to that question, they say, what, if anything, did you say to her about any assessment or treatment that will be required for her children? And Kylie says, I also asked her on return to bring the children back with her and that it was really important that the children were also medically assessed given the risk. She said that she had scraped the mushrooms off. I suggested you couldn't, and that wouldn't guarantee that they wouldn't have ingested the same toxin and that they would need a thorough assessment as well. There you go. So I wanted to detail that interaction between Erin and Kylie Ashton. Shush, you guys. You guys talk too much. Really? Shh. Yeah. Yeah, Cakespoo, you gotta be careful, my friend. Gotta be careful. You can't say stuff like this. I'm gonna have to blur that later, aren't I? I think I'm gonna have to blur that after we get off. Can't people say I'm being paranoid. Like this other woman said I was being paranoid. Not being paranoid, guys. It's just the contempt laws are so strong with this case. One of the warnings that were given out before the trial had even started was there is no cap on a penalty for subjudice contempt of court. No cap. The judge can impose whatever they want. They could say you can have 50 years in jail if they want to. They could say you have to pay $5 million. They could say you have to do 10,000 hours of community service. You're banned from the courtroom for life. You can never cover another case. You can never do any courtroom cases ever again. They are all possibilities because there is no cap on a penalty for subjudice. Yeah, Judah says they are very strong. I reread the rules. Yeah, it is. That's why I'm so emotional about it because people just don't seem to understand the risks and people saying things like you're paranoid. Really? Who speaks to the Supreme Court? Ping or you? Who speaks to them? Do you? No, because I do every day. And I can tell you that they've relayed this message several times to us that like the penalties are high and like they're saying that the judge will do it if you screw with his trial. He wants the media to do their job and not like mess with the trial. You have to be ethical. You have to abide by all, the things, the rules and stuff like that and just do your job. You do that, you'll be fine. So that's what I'm trying to do. Anna P says, I support and respect you. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate that. By the way, I don't know if I've seen your name in the chat before, but thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. Profile has done cases before in the court, haven't you, my friend? You would know. Julie, hey Julie, nice to see you. Julie says, I'm listening but not staying in the chat. That's okay. Nice to meet you. Ping, your notes are way superior to the mainstream media and you have nothing to apologize for. You have my gratitude in heaps. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's very kind of you. It means a lot. It really does. Thank you very much. And I will say I've had like 2 people that have been say weird stuff like this, and I've had hundreds that have reached out to say that they're very appreciative. So I shouldn't get so worked up about 1 or 2 people. It's just, I put hours and hours and hours a day into this, so it gets on my nerves a little bit. Anne says, "Ping, are there limitations on what you can say in private offline conversations?" Um, I don't know. I'm not sure. The way it's worded is like broadcasting, but I guess if you I'm not a lawyer. I don't know. The way it's worded is broadcast and publication and things like that. Someone might say an email is a publication if in this context because I'm a media member. They might say if I send out an email to someone telling them details, it would be, you know, considered publication. So I don't know. On the safe side, I like we don't have long to go. This is all going to not matter in like 2 or 3 weeks. I promise. Trust in Ping. Like our logo. Where's our logo? Somewhere up here. Somewhere up here? Down here? The logo says, "In Ping we trust." In Latin. Have faith. I promise I wouldn't lead anyone astray. It's only a couple more weeks, and I promise we can talk about whatever you want. You can ask me whatever question you want about the trial, as long as I'm not under any orders from the court or whatever not to talk about it. I will tell you everything I know. I will tell you literally my opinion, what I thought on day 1, day 2, day 10, day 40, whatever. I promise. We can have a 10-hour live show. You can ask me every question under the sun. I just can't do it right now. But after the trial, we can do all that. And you can ask me what I thought, what was my opinion, when this happened, what did you think? And I'll tell you honestly. And I've been keeping notes. So I take my court notes, and then when I hear something and I think I need to write about it, I do. And I've kept all them throughout the trial, and I will tell you about them when the trial is over. So there's more coming. It's just this is a big process. I know everyone's really excited because we're really a couple of weeks into the trial, and there's a lot of different things happening, but everyone just in Ping we trust. Okay, just promise. I give my viewers everything I can, everything. I don't believe in hiding things unless I'm legally obligated not to tell you something. That's it. So, all right. Laura T says, can't wait to hear your personal notes. That'll be an interesting show at some point. Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought you meant like, could you call me and I can tell you everything? I was like, I don't think I can do that. Answers Ping. Actually, I just meant like, are you able to talk to your wife about what you think in face-to-face conversation? She doesn't really ask. She actually just listens to me do the show. She's listening right now. Hey, say hi.
Hi.
See, she's just over there. She just listens to me do the show, and that's it. She's not like a big true crime person. She's only interested in it because I'm doing it. So like she sort of heard about it on the news and things like that, but she's only interested in because I'm interested. If that makes sense. I think, is that right? You like it, but yeah, but you're only deeply more into it because I'm doing it. Because I'm going to the court and stuff, right? Like if I just read this story on my show, you'd be like, "What was that?" Oh, okay, cool.
Pretty interesting case.
Shh, you can't use the word interesting.
Okay, sorry.
It's a case.
It's a case.
It's a trial.
It's a trial.
That's all it is. There is no interesting. Sean says that's true love. Cakespeare says, I will now lock myself in a cabinet for 6 weeks. I have a feeling just with how fast we've been going through stuff this week. I don't know for sure. I have no confirmation on this. This is just my personal opinion. It's been running a lot better this week. We've been getting through a lot more witnesses and things like that. We may not need the entire time. I'm not sure. I don't think Justice Beale has said anything like that. Just my observations that this week has run really quickly. As where last week we only had opening statements and then one witness. This week we've had like 25 witnesses or something like that. It's been very, very quick. So I just think maybe we won't end up needing the entire 6 weeks possibly. It's just a guess from me. I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, no, you don't need to lock yourself in a cabinet. Just the rules are no theories, and the other one is you got to treat Erin Patterson as if she is innocent, because that's the way we treat all people that are having allegations put against them in a court of law, right? So if it happened to you, you would hope that everyone would treat you innocent until a verdict was given against you. That's how we must all think about Erin too. She deserves a fair trial, at least, while the trial is on. So Kathy can't give you her thoughts either. Even in the chat, they can't do it. It's just one of those things. So, all right, let's continue. So we heard from Kylie Ashton. I thought you would want to hear about her testimony or her evidence, what they call evidence here. I don't think we call it testimony here, even though in America that's what they call it. Here they call it evidence. So when a witness is on the stand, they say they're giving evidence. So I have to be better with that. All right, I want to take you to the cross exam by Colin Mandy, SC. That's his official title. He is Erin Patterson's defense attorney or defense lawyer, and his whole title is Colin Mandy, SC. So often in the notes I'll write Colin Mandy, SC. Sometimes it's abbreviated, but I like to give him his respect because that's his real title, his official title. I think that's what we should do for everyone, right? You earned your title, you should be called that. So I often like to do that for everyone. Even the nurse, Kylie Ashton, I like to give her respect and say that she is the director of nursing because that's her title, and she earned it. So it's called like respect. All right. Colin Mandy cross-examined Kylie Ashton, and one of the questions here was, he asks, as we understand it, Erin, from the records, Erin attended at the triage window at around 8:05 a.m. and that she discharged herself at around 8:10 a.m. So she was present in the hospital for around 5 minutes. Only 5 minutes. Kylie Ashton replies, correct. Colin Mandy, SC, asks, and of all the things you've described to the jury happened within that time? And Kylie Ashton replies, correct. So he was sort of like, the way I understood it in court was he was sort of saying that's a lot of information to happen in a short space of time. But she said, no, it did happen. It was about 5 minutes and things like that. That's my video playing. All right, there we go. Colin Mandy then asks, you were aware that Erin was there though, and he's referring to when Erin was with Dr. CW. And she replies, I was aware that someone had attended at the window but wasn't mindful of who it was or how they related to the rest of the scenario until Erin was handed over to me. And they say prior to her arrival, they mean Erin. Colin Mandy asks, you hadn't been told anything about her in particular. And Kylie Ashton says, no, I had not. And Colin Mandy replies, in other words, you weren't aware that there was another lunch guest. And she says, no, I was not. And then Colin follows up and says, and you hadn't been told to expect her meaning Erin. And Kylie Ashton says, no, I had not. So there you go. Kylie Ashton under cross-exam saying basically that she had no knowledge of Erin having to come to the hospital or anything like that. That was it. Hey, Quiet Observer, how are you? Good to see you. I will forgive you for your sins. I will blur what you said out after we get off here. I don't think you meant it. I just think you weren't quite aware. It's okay. I'll get rid of it. That would be nice. Sean says, "Can we get to 50 likes tonight? Please tag that pun." Can I repeat that? Which part? Which part would you like me to repeat? If you tell me which part, I will do that for you. Are you talking about the bit for Colin Mandy? I can tell you that basically the questioning that you just heard was Colin Mandy asking if Kylie Ashton had any knowledge of Erin having to present or come to the hospital. And Kylie Ashton says no, she was not aware of Erin having to come to the hospital for any reason. So that's what that means. All right. All right. So Colin Mandy says, in this 2 or 3 minute conversation that you had with her, aka Erin, did she say to you, I'm not prepared to come and stay in the hospital straight away, in effect? So he's asking, is that basically what she said? And Kylie says that was what she said repeatedly, that she wasn't prepared to come and stay in the hospital. And repeatedly what she was saying is, I am prepared to have treatment. So this is Colin Mandy. He's trying to ask about what Kylie Ashton means in her last answer. And he asks, and repeatedly what she is saying is, I am prepared to have treatment, just not right now. There's some things I have to attend to. Kylie Ashton replies, not initially. It was after some talking and negotiation around coming back. She was just saying, adamant, that she couldn't be there at the time and that she needed to go away and do some other things. Colin Mandy replies, she said that there were things that she needed to make arrangements for her children. Kylie Ashton says that is correct. And he says, and for her animals? And Kylie Ashton actually says, I don't recall her mentioning animals, no. And finally, he says, all of this conversation is happening in 2 or so minutes that are left before she heads over towards the discharge bay. Kylie Ashton says, it was very fast. It was a lot of talking, trying to relay information about the importance of staying and trying to understand the barriers for her in staying with us. So there you go. That was some evidence from Kylie Ashton this morning. She is the director of nursing at Leongatha Hospital. And that was her evidence today. No worries. I appreciate it. Anne says, I'm super grateful to have somebody stream at odd hours. I get up super early in the US. Anyone know of other channels when ping isn't on when it's early morning in the US? We don't tend to stream at this time. It's only during the trial. Although every now and then I do like a 9 a.m. or an 8 a.m. sort of true crime live stream for people. But it's sort of just been for the trial. Normally we're on at about midnight Eastern. So if you're on the East Coast of America, normally we're on about midnight 12:30, 1 a.m., something like that. Hey Betty C, hey sweetheart, how are you? It's good to see you, my friend. I love seeing all the people who support the channel. All my old friends that have been around since day one. I love them. All right. All right. I want to go to a bit that happened this afternoon because I think you would be I need to report this to you. That's the way I'm going to word it. Hey Sensible Crime, how's it going, my friend? Another OG. Sensible Crime says, I think it's especially hard for Americans to understand the restrictions or what people can say during an active trial. We are at an opposite extreme. I agree. I think it has been, well, actually, the lady that yelled at me was an Australian. She was an Aussie. It wasn't an American, and she was not very nice to all of you. She said, no wonder you only have Americans that watch your show because the Aussies don't care. That's what she said in Twitter. I'll show you the screenshot. She said that I only have Americans because no Australians want to watch this show. I tell you that is incorrect. Our split of viewers works like this. We have about 50% Americans, about 30% 30% Australian, and a mixture of other people on the other 20%. So yes, my larger audience is American, but I have a whack of people from Australia too. About 30% of my overall viewers are Aussie. So, yes, if you aren't aware, I'm at the actual trial. Yes. Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's been an adjustment for me too. You can imagine someone like me. I do American true crime a lot, like almost every day, 25, 365 days a year. I do American trials quite frequently. We did one earlier this year. So the adjustment for me has been severe because I've had to change the way I talk. I've had to change the way I describe things. I've had to change the way I present my show because the way I normally do it, we can't use it for this trial because we got told off for like you can't be too emotional in the way you describe things. You can't emphasize things like certain things, stuff like that. Like it's really nuanced. It really is. There's a lot to it, and that's why I got so cranky earlier today because I just think people just don't understand how severe it is. It's a lot of work, and it's taken a lot of behavior modification for me to stop doing certain things. Like a word I like to use a lot is interesting. I use it a lot, all the time on my show. But it's actually one of the words we were told not to use. One of the words we were told not to use is don't use the word interesting to describe certain aspects of the trial, because apparently even that can be considered subjudice, contempt of court, even just saying that. So that's how fine the line is. And there is no one else doing live streams of this trial. It's me, and me. That's it. There's no one else. Cakesboo says by who? By the Supreme Court of Victoria. That's who told me. Hey, Tiggy. Hey, good to see you. Are you one of the new 70 people who subscribed? I appreciate it. Hey, have one of these. Have one of these from Ping. There you go. I appreciate it. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for the subscription. It's been nice. Our subscription, our sub rate has been going up all week. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. For all the new people, just please stick by the chat rules at the moment. After the trial, you'll see the other side of the channel. I promise. Heather says, "Kiwi here, and you are a lot stricter than we are." Yes, it is very strict here. That's why I don't know if anyone's ever wondered before why there just isn't a huge like true crime world here. People covering trials and Law and Crime Australia, and there's none of that, and it's because of the reporting restrictions. That's why. Cakespoo said, "Are you allowed to post their trial rules advice after the trial?" I can show you some actually. Is that something everyone would like to see? I did a video on it before we went to the trial. Is it something everyone would like to see just for a moment, and then we'll get to the next witness that happened in the afternoon? You guys like just for 1 minute? I'll show you some examples. All right. Will you be covering the Menendez case? No, the next case. I've never covered the Menendez case ever before. I've never done it. It's way before my time. I don't know enough about it, unfortunately. It's not one I'm ever going to do, I don't think. The next physical trial I think I'm going to try to go to if I don't get arrested before the end of this one is I want to go to Isla Belle. So if you remember, we did Isla Belle last year. I would like to go to Isla Belle later this year. Now, if you don't know who she is, she was a woman who was killed in in St Kilda, Elsternwick, St Kilda, in Melbourne, and her body was put in a fridge and taken in different places around Melbourne. And that's the next one I would like to go to for the Supreme Court. All right, let me show you the media guide for the Supreme Court. Let me just show you what they give us. All right, I did show this before we went to trial, but let's do a tiny bit of a recap, okay? So this gives you some certain things here, just like daily lists for like hearings and locations. There's pre-trial and preliminary hearings and what they call a 198B applications and certain things. These are different pre-trial type things. And they say etiquette in the courtroom, you have to bow to the judge. You don't have to bow like karate. You just sort of like tilt your head a little bit as you come or leave the courtroom. It's to show respect to the justice or the judge. Remote access. This is not applicable to the Erin Patterson trial. There is no live stream. This is not the one I want actually. Reporting. Yeah, this one here. This is the one I want to show you. Sorry, wrong one. Yeah, so this is the Supreme Court of Victoria reporting on the court, a brief guide. And, it doesn't have the... Oh, yes. So some of the things you have to watch out for, children and youth and the Families Act. So this includes like a lot of people who are under 18, people that may have some sort of suppression order due to like DV or something like that. And then there's the Judicial Proceedings Reports Act 1958. This is the victims of SA, so a sexual offense, cannot be identified unless they give written permission. This applies in criminal and civil matters and also restricts reporting on sentence indication hearings for anything to do with sexual acts and sexual crimes. And then the Juries Act of 2000. Don't identify or approach jurors or those attending for jury service. Be careful not to include them in footage taken outside the court. Don't publish anything said in jury room deliberations. Subjudice contempt. That's what we're dealing with a lot of right now. Things to be mindful of include during a jury trial, don't report anything said in the absence of the jury, including legal argument and court arrangements. So you can't mention anything that's said, like, I don't know, the judge might say, who knows, a billion different things when the jury's not there. You are not permitted to report on it. Co-accused where matters are not being heard together. So that means like you can't say, oh, well, Johnny's on trial for murder. And then you say, oh, but he had a friend. He's going to trial next year and his name is Bill. And Bill also may get done for it too. Like you can't like link them together. They are their own matters in the court. Linking to old articles while the trial is in process, you need to be mindful about linking back, what they call linking back. And they don't want you linking back to prior commentary on the particular case. They want you to just let the trial be its own thing. And they say revealing prior convictions or further pending charges. So anything they may have been charged with in the past or any other charges that are not admitted into the trial, you are not supposed to talk about it. Interviews with witnesses and republishing interviews from the time of the arrest, using images or videos which are not part of evidence, explainers, reads, and comment pieces about a specific case or related topic ahead of or during a trial, photos which may prejudice a jury, including showing a person in handcuffs, pretrial arguments and rulings, evidence or comments ruled inadmissible, even when said in front of a jury. So you have to be very careful about that. That happens quite frequently. Request for and hearings of criminal case conferences and sentence indications, contempt. So concerns material which impacts the authority and functioning of the court, including interrupting a hearing, ignoring judicial direction, breaching orders, and unfounded criticism. General tips for reporting on the Supreme Court. Don't imply guilt or innocence, attribute allegations. Report fairly and accurately. When in doubt, leave it out. So if you can't report it fairly, unbiased, and you can't just report the facts, then don't say anything. Be careful not to attribute parties' legal arguments to the judge. Even if the judge recites or summarizes them, it may not mean they have been accepted by the judge. So it's not good to do that because it doesn't mean the judge actually agrees. It just means he's repeating them for his own, so he can replay it and put it into record or something. But it doesn't mean he actually is endorsing that statement. And they say court reporting is reporting what you hear. Save analysis until the matter is resolved. This is the big one. This is the big one. Court reporting is reporting what you hear. Save analysis until the matter is resolved. Do against this, and you'll end up in the judge's chamber at 8:30 a.m. on a Tuesday. It's not a joke. That is their number one golden rule, other than don't name witnesses and other things in the acts further up. This one is the big one. It is reporting what you hear. Save the analysis until the matter is resolved. So that's why I keep telling you, when the matter has been done in court, I will give you all of my opinion. I will give you all of my analysis. I'll tell you everything you've ever wanted to know when it is finalized. Right now, I'm telling you what I hear in court every day. That's the difference, okay? I hope everyone gets it. I hope everyone understands. We've been through this once before. I've run through these media guides a couple of times. So for people who don't know, maybe are from America or maybe just not that into court things, maybe they have no idea. This is from the Supreme Court. This case is in the Supreme Court. These are the rules that we have to abide by. Okay? We all on the same page? Oh, yeah, when I read, I can't see the chat. Oh, yeah, we should put the banner up. Yeah, we have a banner. There we go. There we go. Hey, Penguin. Penguin, I can't answer that question. One of the things they don't mention in this guide, but one of the things we're not allowed to do is we can't do what they call is callback, and what they mean by that is say on Tuesday, a man named Peter gave evidence. You can't then on Thursday be like, whoa, look at this. This is like what, Peter said on Tuesday. You can't do stuff like that. So I can't answer your question, unfortunately, at this time. All I can tell you is that I didn't see anything like what you're asking about. That's all I can say. I didn't see anything like that. Let me just check here. Anne says, can you talk about Belle Gibson? I can. I actually know quite a bit about Belle Gibson. We'll do that another time, though. Once I get through my notes, maybe I'll open up another show and we can talk about Belle Gibson. Oh, yeah, we could probably do that. Yeah, that's a good idea. Where do we get this thing? Yeah, we could probably do that. Yeah, I could pin the Supreme Court Media Center to the top here. I think we have to unpin the first one, unfortunately. Ah, it doesn't allow it. Anyway, the link is in the chat if you want to read through the Supreme Court, what media have to do. It's right there in black and white from the Supreme Court of Victoria. I thank you all for understanding. I do. All right. And let's continue. Let's continue. It's already 8:20 and we've only gone through one guest. Did we get through one? We got a few more. We got a few more. All right. That's that lady. I think we did that. Okay. I want to talk about what we saw just before we ended the day today. So, just before we ended the day today, we were shown a video. And I'm going to take you through it very, very carefully. So, let me get my other notes that deal with this subject we have to be very careful with, and you'll understand in a minute why. Sean, thank you. I appreciate it. Can we get 50 likes, like, and subscribe? Yes, can we? Can we get 50? That would be good. And if you haven't subscribed, can you please do that? It is for the general public. It is not for me. Yes, for the general public. No, for me. I have a seat every day. I'm not guaranteed a seat, but there's enough seats for media. All right. Let me get my notes. Because this one's a little delicate. We have to be a little careful with how we report this one. All right. All right. So this afternoon, we watched a part of a video. We haven't finished it. I think we'll see maybe the rest of it tomorrow or something. And the video was recorded in August 2023. It was the 16th of August. What this video shows is Patterson, Erin Patterson, and Simon Patterson's 9-year-old daughter. She's now 11, but back then she was 9. And unfortunately, we can't identify her for legal reasons. She was sitting on a couch and she was answering questions about her mother's lunch while sitting next to, I think, what looked like a box of tissues on a desk. So it was like a little desk or table. And a police officer asked her questions, and she seemed to become somewhat emotional during the questioning. And the word I would use was nervous. So she played with certain things while the police officer was asking her questions, and she just seemed to be a little uncomfortable with the process. According to a journalist that I spoke to that was in the actual courtroom, they also said that Erin Patterson had become visually emotional during this video. In the video, the daughter says she answered the question about why she thought she was being interviewed. So she was asked, why do you think you're here? And she says, because of the lunch at my mum's house. And she continues and says, I wasn't there, so I don't know what happened. She goes on to say that her mother had told her that she wanted to leave to have a lunch with the grandparents, Don and Gail, and Heather and Ian. But the young girl was unable to recall anything else that around that conversation. She says, I can't remember what she said. I just remember that she was going to have the lunch. That's what the daughter says. She goes on and says, I just remember she was going to have the lunch at the dining table. She just wanted to talk to them and I guess have lunch with them. She said she just wanted to talk about adult stuff. And the police officer actually says, sometimes adults do that. They want to talk about adult stuff. And she goes, yeah. And so, that sounds like what most kids would understand as like an adult conversation, right? They just don't really know. They just know that adults sometimes talk to each other. So that's what her reply was. Her reply was, mum just wanted to talk to the other adults, adult talk. Yeah, it's here. Where's my other tab? Here, the daughter in this video said her mother told her that herself, her brother, and a friend would be seeing a movie while the lunch took place. So this is the lunch on the 23rd of July. Oh, sorry. 23rd of July. Am I going mental? In July. I'm just going to say in July. Sorry, I didn't mean to misattribute it. In July. So the lunch we are talking about with the beef Wellingtons, the children were going to go to the movies. And she says here, yeah, that she, her brother, and her brother's friend would be seeing a movie while the adults had lunch. She tells police her mum had been making a coffee before they had left the house to go to the movies. And her reply was, I remember it was in the oven and there was some kind of meat. I could only see meat, but there was probably something else. And they were asking her if, mum was cooking for the lunch. And that was her reply. Her reply was, I remember it was in the oven and that there was some kind of meat. I could only see meat, but there was probably something else. And then they ask her again, and she says, yes, I was able to look into the oven to see the meat. I think after that, I just went and watched some TV. She said that her mum, Erin, had dropped the children off to McDonald's at Leongatha for lunch about 11:30 a.m. And then the children had walked about 200 meters to a cinema to watch a movie called Elemental. And she says, my mum didn't stay. I think it was about 11:30 a.m. Actually, I think it might have been 12:30. I can't remember that well. The movie started at 12:30 p.m. She continues that her dad picked her up, or them up, after the movie. And then she says, I think he drove my brother back to my mum's house. So she said she couldn't really recall who had been dropped off first. She was like, I can't remember if it was my brother or the friend or some other person. She just said, I remember just a little bit about the day. And that was her reply that I read out. In the video, the daughter said she believed her mother started to feel sick the day after the lunch occurred. She says she just needed to go to the toilet a lot and felt sick in the guts. She said that she had diarrhea and her tummy was sore. The daughter believes her mum went to the toilet about 10 times. In the video that we saw, the police officer who was conducting the conversation with Patterson's daughter asked her about the type of plates they had in the home, and she said, and her reply to that question was, they're just round plates. And she describes one. She says, there's a black and green one and some white ones. And they go on to ask her, what she says that her mother had the same as us for dinner that night, but apparently Erin Patterson wasn't that hungry, so didn't eat that much due to feeling unwell. The daughter continued to say her mother had gone to the toilet, and then the daughter said she just went herself and took herself to bed after she had her dinner. So that is the little bit of the video we saw this afternoon. It happened quite late. We didn't see a ton of it. I think they said that we may continue tomorrow. Tomorrow is a very short day. We only have 3 hours in court. I don't think this. I'm not sure how long they said this video would go for, but it happened just before 4 p.m. We only witnessed about 5 minutes, something like that, 5-8 minutes. There might be a little bit more before it's finished tomorrow. So this is not complete. So we may have some more to tell you about that interview with Erin Patterson's young daughter, who was 9 years old at the time. I believe she's 11 now, but that is literally the extent I can tell you about her without getting in trouble. That she was 9 at the time the video was taken, and that she due to math and years, that she is probably 11 now. Any other details other than that she's the daughter of Erin and Simon? I can't tell you anything else. That's it. I don't even feel comfortable telling you her age, really, but it was given to us, and I guess it's okay. I don't know how old the other child is. I'm not sure. It's one of the things I've really tried to be very super careful about during the trial is the underage people involved, because I've tried to be very, very sensitive to them. I just want to make sure that everything's done right for them. As I said, I'm not 100% sure. I think, if you do the math, if she was 9 back then, she's probably about 11 now. So I don't know. I think I feel like you'd have to ingest it, but I'm not is it a mycologist that does mushrooms? Mycologist? I'm not a mycologist, so I don't know. I would say probably when it probably hurts your body is when you ingest it. It may be able to absorb through the skin a little bit, but I would say it's probably when it gets into your system. And another time I'll talk to you more about what they do and how they work and things like that. Not tonight though. To me, those 2 points were probably some of the ones I wanted to report it today. There's a little bit more here if you guys want it. It's more like medical stuff. If it's something you're interested in, I'll talk about it a little bit, but those 2 points were the ones I really wanted to focus on in my reporting. Let's see if I can find the other one. So we also heard from Kylie Ashton. We had Veronica Foote, Dr. Veronica. She was on in the morning. And then who did we have? Let me go down to my other witness. Sorry, I was going to cough. We had Cindy Monroe, who is a registered nurse, and she was employed by Gippsland Health Service as an after-hours coordinator. If you would like to hear some of hers, it's Gippsland Southern Health Service or something. I think I'm getting the right name. Yeah, Gippsland Southern Health Service, I think, is the full title. And I can tell you a little bit about her testimony. Okay. In part of her testimony today, or giving evidence today, they say, all right. So she talks about here in her evidence, she says, that she works at the hospital, and they ask her, "What time did your shift commence on this weekend?" And that's the weekend of the lunch. She says 7 a.m. And then she says, on arrival to the hospital, did you receive a handover when you started? Did you receive a handover from the outgoing after hours coordinator in relation to two patients, Ian and Heather Wilkinson? And she says yes. Then they ask at 7:30 a.m., did you have a conversation with the nurse unit manager? And her name is Emma, and she says yes. And they ask a follow up here. This is Miss Warren asking these questions at the moment for the prosecution. She says, "What did she advise you at the time?" Um, and she replies, "Emma was the in charge nurse that day, and she had come into our handover room and stated that she had received a call from Dr. CW asking that we prepare Ian and Heather for immediate transfer to Dandenong Hospital." And the follow-up question from Miss Warren is, "Were you informed as to the reason why they were to be transferred?" And she says, "Yes." They follow up that with, "What was the reason given to you?" And she says that there was suspected mushroom poisoning and that they were unwell and needed to be transferred to get further treatment. They said, the next question is, "Were you part of the arrangement of that transfer of Ian and Heather?" And she says, "Correct." And they say, "The transfer was from the ward to the urgent care center. Is that right?" She says, "Yes, they were an inpatient on the general ward, and we had to transfer them to urgent care to prepare them for transfer to Dandenong Hospital." And they say, "Now, when you transfer them, did you have any conversation with Ian and or Heather about the reasons for being transferred?" And she replies, "Yeah, I took Ian's trolley and I did say to him, we're needing to transfer you to urgent care so we can keep a closer observation of you because Dr. CW has told us that you will be transferring to Dandenong Hospital." And they said, "Did you go into any detail with him at that point about the reasons for that transfer?" And she says, "Yeah, I just said to him that it was due to a potential poisoning or food poisoning that he was going to be transferred." So at the time, they sort of weren't 100% sure like what was causing it. They thought maybe it was like food poisoning or gastro or something like that, possibly, something else, but they weren't 100%. All they knew is that these people were getting sicker and sicker, so they wanted to get them to a hospital that had more resources to help them, which Dandenong Hospital is a very big hospital, one of the biggest in the southeast. So it's what they call a tertiary hospital. Yeah, I can show it to you. On a map. All right. So as you can see here, Dandenong Hospital is a huge campus. Look at this. It is massive. All of this is all Dandenong Hospital. There's even Eastern Medical Center down here, but that's a different company. But Dandenong Hospital, this look pathology and outpatient, emergency, vascular, like it's just audiology, like there's just all different parts of it. Look how massive it is. Giant car parks. Look at this for workers and patients and things like that. It is a very large hospital in Victoria, in Melbourne. It is much larger than Leongatha. Leongatha is quite a small hospital, only has like a few beds, doesn't have very much. Dandenong is a huge hospital. There's two. So this is what we call in Australia a public hospital. There's public and private. Private is where you pay for your own health insurance. Public is under like the government system. There's two really big ones in the southeast, both under the same umbrella company, which is Monash. So there's Monash Dandenong, and Monash Clayton. Monash Dandenong is where I think it's here. Ian and Heather and Don and Gail went to. They went to this hospital here, Dandenong Hospital. Then they got transferred to the Alfred, to the Austin. Sorry, the Austin. They got transferred to the Austin when their condition deteriorated, and that's where they ended up dying. Unfortunately, I think. The other one that gets talked about, so after they leave Leongatha and Korumburra, most of them go to Dandenong. The children and Erin go to Monash Clayton. So Monash Clayton is a different hospital. It's a little further closer to the city than Dandenong Hospital. Dandenong's like quite a way out in a suburb called Dandenong. There's also Clayton Monash, which is a very large hospital, huge metro hospital. It's quite big, and I think they have a specialized child unit there. So that's maybe why they wanted to send the children to that particular hospital, is because they have a child section, a good one. So that's the explanation between the two different hospitals that have been talked about in the trial for people who are not from here. So if you live in Victoria, you would know these hospitals. Everyone does. Yeah. So the first two, Korumburra, that's a tiny little hospital, little regional hospital. Leongatha, also another little tiny hospital. I think they're both under Southern Health. So Southern Health both run both of those hospitals. When they couldn't really continue to treat these people there and they needed more help, they got transferred to Dandenong and Clayton. Both Monash. So both Monash, they have a connection to Monash University, and Monash University feeds a lot of their doctors into these hospitals after they get their education and their, fellowships and things like that. They get fed into this umbrella of several hospitals down here. So there you go. There's the explanation about that. All right. All right. Let me get back to my. Oh, where's my photo? Don't do that. All right. There we go. All right. Oh, don't do that. That's what I wanted. Oh, huh? Sorry, I got a weird email. What is going on here? All right, I will deal with that after. Okay. Let's go back to the notes. Okay, so they talk about this transfer of Ian and Heather to Dandenong, right? So we've already covered that. And they say here, and did you hear him tell, they're talking about Dr. CW, did you hear him tell Ian that it was believed they had ingested death cap mushrooms? And she says, yes. So the she we're talking about here, let me go back and get her full title. Her name is Cindy Monroe, and she's a registered nurse. So she says she did overhear Dr. CW telling Ian that they believe maybe this could be attributed to death cap poisoning. All right, let me go down here. Sorry, for some reason it shot me up like 10 pages. I hate when that happens. Oh yeah. And they said, and did you also hear him tell Ian that they were being transferred to Dandenong Hospital and they were going to go there as soon as possible? And she says, yes. And they say at around 8:45 a.m., Ian was discharged and left Leongatha Hospital by ambulance bound for Dandenong. Is that correct? And she says, yes. And then they continue here. This is Miss Warren. And they say, at some point, did you then, later in the morning, did you have contact with Erin Patterson? And she says, yes. And they say, when was the first time you saw or became aware of the presence of Erin at the urgent care? And she says, I had asked Kylie to triage a person that had come in while I was busy working with Ian, and that was Erin Patterson that had come in through the door. So as I was working, I could see on the side that Erin was coming in and taking a seat next to the urgent care entrance and the ambulance exit. So I could see her coming in, and yeah, that was the first time I saw her. And they said, yeah, so they said that was about 8 o'clock in the morning. So that's another person's perspective about Erin arriving at the hospital. All right. I think that's almost all I wanted to report for today, guys. I think that's all my notes. Like there's a couple of other things. Maybe we could have a look. Oh yes. Actually, sorry, there's one more. So we also heard from a senior constable, not with a U, with an O, constable, although it's, yes, I'm not going to keep saying it because I'm going to lose the word. And his name is Adrian Villalobos. Adrian Villalobos. And he is a senior constable of police. And the question is worded, are you a senior constable of police? He says, yes, I am. And they say, at July 2023, you were a senior constable of police at the time. And they say, is that correct? And he says, that's correct. And they say, at that time, you were stationed at Meerbu North Police Station. And he says, yes. And they say, on Monday, the 31st of July, 2023, you were rostered to start a shift at 7 a.m. And he says, yep, that's correct. And they say, you were working division, what they call divvy van, but the long word is divisional van duties with leading senior constable Mullery. And they say divisional sedan duties. And he says, yes. And they said, at 9:32 a.m., did you receive a job to attend an address at Leongatha? And he says, yes, I did. And they said, what was the purpose of that attendance? He says, it was a welfare check. We were sent there because the hospital, he got a call from Dr. CW, had called through from the hospital. They had a patient attend. And he says, I believe the patient being Miss Erin Patterson had attended and left before getting checked out. And then they became aware that there were other people who were falling ill who had shared a similar meal with her. So they wanted to, deal with that. And these questions are again asked by Miss Warren. And they say here, did you drive to the address with your leading senior constable Mullery to the address? And he says, yes. Leading senior constable Kate Mullery, she was driving that day and I was in the scribe position, as we call it. And they say otherwise known as a passenger seat. And he says, yes, the passenger seat. They said, did you arrive there approximately about 10 a.m. that morning? He says, yes. And what did you do when you arrived there? He says, we had a look from the outside, so we parked in the driveway, not in the property. There was a gate there. So we had a look from the outside and couldn't see any signs of a vehicle, couldn't see any signs of anybody in the house or around the house. And they say, at that stage, the information you had was that they were there. You were there to for the purposes of a welfare check. Is that right? He says, a welfare check. Yeah, that's correct. And they said, I understand the front gate was closed. Is that right? They said, yes. And they follow up with, it required a code or person. It required a code or a person would require a code in order to open the gate. He says, yes, that is correct. They follow up with, did you have the code to open the gate? He says, no, I didn't have the code. And they said, did you return to your vehicle and telephone Dr. CW, who had made the report? And he says, yes. And did you ask him if there was any further information about where Erin might be? He says, I believe he volunteered. Or he says, I may have asked, yes. Then he provided me with that information. And they said, what did he tell you? He told me that she'd returned to the hospital, but while we were at the address, he asked if we could do them a favor of collecting some samples of tainted food to help them analyze it. And then Miss Warren says, so he asked to see if you could locate some food items. He says yes. And then they say, did he say, or did he give you some direction as to where the food might be? And he said limited, as in limited direction. And then he says, there was some limited ideas to where the food may be. Yeah. They follow up with that saying, did he say that you had permission from the homeowner to enter the house? And he says, yes. And they said, did he offer you a phone number which you could contact the part of the hospital where Erin Patterson was and speak directly to her? And he says, yes, that's correct. He did that. They said, and they ask, at 10:07 a.m., did you make a phone call to that phone number at the Leongatha Hospital? And he says, yes. And they say, were you put through to Erin Patterson? And he says, correct. Yes. And you spoke directly to her at that stage. Is that right? He says, that's right. And they go on to say, did she provide you with the gate code? And he says, yes, she did. Yes. And they said, did she give you any information about where the food item that you were seeking might be found? He says, she did. She gave me two possible options. One in an outside red lid bin, and then another indoor option. They ask him, what did you do with that information? He says, with the information in the gate code, we've driven up into the driveway proper of the house, and the leading senior constable Mulry has waited in the car while I've gone in, double gloved, and he explained what double gloved is. It's what it sounds like. They put on one pair of gloves and put on another pair of gloves for extra protection. And he says he has gone in. He's gone in double gloved and remained on the phone with Miss Patterson while searching through these food items, searching for these food items, and she's given me some pretty specific directions about where they may be, which bin they may be in, and that we were authorized to enter the house if need be. And they say the double gloving is to prevent contamination and things like that. And they said, you said she gave you specific instructions about where these food items might be. And they ask, what were those instructions? He says, Erin told me that it could be in the location in the house, otherwise in the red lidded bin in a Woolworths brown bag, she told me. They ask what a red lidded bin is. And he says it's a general waste type bin. And they said the outside is a general waste bin as well. They said, did you attempt to enter the house or check the bin? He says, no. There was no need to attempt to enter the house because it was in the outdoor bin. I did let her know that we would if needed, but we needed to go get the key off her if there was no easy way to break in. I didn't want to break into the house. So you checked the red lidded bin prior to entering the house to see if there was in there first. Is that right? He says, yes. And did you locate the item? He says, I did, yes. You said that she told you it would be likely in a paper Woolworths bag. Is that right? And he says, a brown paper bag, and that her brain had been a bit foggy at the time, so she couldn't be more clear on that. And they said, did you locate it in a brown paper Woolworths bag? He says, I did, yes. It was at the very bottom of that red lidded bin underneath two other brown paper bags. Was there anything else in that brown paper bag? That's Miss Warren asking. And he says there was minimal refuse, maybe some cans, something like that, but it was primarily maybe one and a bit beef Wellingtons. And they said, "What did you do? Did you retrieve the item from the bin?" He says, "Yes." How did you retrieve it? He says, "I retrieved the bag, removing the other excess items from the bag." And they said, "What did you do with the bag?" He says, "I used another one of the bags that were in the bin as well and put the bag with the food into the bag because it was seeping a bit from the bottom and I didn't want to get dirty." And then they said, um, "And then you put those bags into the police vehicle, is that right?" And he says, "Yeah." Whilst you were talking to Erin Patterson, how did she appear to you at that time? He gave his evidence and said she was quite cooperative throughout the exchange. Oh no, they're asking, was she quite cooperative throughout the exchange? And he says, yes, she was. She was cooperative throughout the exchange. Yes. And she provided you information as to where to find these items? And he says, yes, she did. And they said, did you then transport the item to Leongatha Hospital? And he says, yes, we did. And they said, you arrived there at 10:19 a.m. in the morning. Is that correct? And he said, I'd say so, approximately. And they said, then you took the bag into the urgent care department. He says, yes. And then he says, then they say, you pressed the call button and a nurse called Mayrim Sespon came and took the bag from you. Is that right? He says, that's right. And that was it. That was it. So he went to her home. They were originally there for a welfare check. They Dr. CW being seemed to be a bit you know, he was like, oh, maybe we should do this too. And he was like, we need to get the sample. So he asked the police to go and find a sample of the beef Wellington so they could analyze it and find out what was going on, like what was, if there was anything wrong with the food or, you know, anything like that. So Sean, I appreciate it. 6 short of 50. Come on, guys. Gotta like the stream. So, you know, like, if you want to hear more of this type of stuff, like, we've already been on for hours. And those likes and the subscriptions and stuff like that, they really help. They let me know that, oh, people actually want to hear this type of stuff. Like, people are interested in it. When I see those numbers go up, it means, oh, I must be doing the right thing. So you know, hit that subscribe button, hit those like buttons underneath the chat. I would appreciate it. Yeah, help the algorithm. If you click on the video from somewhere, it'll help me a lot. Because we don't have our comments right now, so we can't leave comments after the video's ended. So it does. Sensible Crime says liking and commenting on videos helps other people find the channel. I appreciate it. Appreciate everyone. Only 4 more to go. Thank you, Heather Stevens. That'd be good. If we can hit 50 before we end the show, that'd be really good. There's got to be 4 people out there who haven't hit it. Yeah, I will do that at some point. Sean says we finally got to 50. I appreciate it. Thank you very much, everyone. Don't stop there, though. You know, I would like to check it in the morning and we have like 100 or more. That'd be pretty cool. Thank you, Julie. Julie says I hit the thumbs up in the first minute. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's great. It's great to see everyone come out for these shows. I appreciate it, even at like weird times. Like we have them on weird times. All right, I want to shut this down now. I think I've given you my reporting from today, and I think I've given you a lot. But I would like to open up another stream. What time is it? Hey, lady over there, what time is it? You think we could fit in another live stream if I have a break for like 10 minutes? Yeah, we could probably do that. Let me have like a 10-minute break and just have like a drink and something to eat. And I will open up a new live show that we can all sort of relax and talk about some true crime and not be sort of as bound as we are here. We can have a bit of a more chill talk in about 10 minutes, okay? I love you all. Thank you very much for being here tonight. Thank you for supporting my channel, Nights with Ping, coming to you live from the courthouse, reporting from the courtroom for the Erin Patterson trial. I've been there since opening statements, and we're in day 8. Actually, day 8 finished today. Tomorrow's day 9, and I'll be there until we get to a verdict. I'm actually hoping to be in the courtroom for the verdict announcement. So that I don't know when that'll be, but sometime in the next few weeks. And I'm gonna be there for the entire trial. So I hope you all appreciate the videos. And Sean, thank you very much for the super chat. I appreciate it, buddy. I think Sean's bought me dinner almost every second night or something. It's been it's been good and thankful. I'm thankful for it. Hold on, I just want to thank some other people before we go. You know, we get a lot of support. That's how we're able to do these type of long projects, like doing these trials for like 2 months or a month and a half every day, is because we get some very generous people who use the links in the chat or under the video and send in donations to help. So it does help. I want to thank my friend Kathy Lynch. She sent in a very generous donation yesterday, and I appreciate it. I hope she's doing well. Sean says, like the lunch, he bought me some lunch yesterday and tonight. I appreciate it, buddy. And my friend Marjorie says the gas/petrol fund for the mushrooms. Thank you, my sweetheart. I appreciate it. And my friend Betty C. You guys are amazing. I appreciate it so much. It's been a wild ride so far. I'll talk to you more about my personal experience on the next live stream that I open in about 10 minutes. I can do that there. I just can't do it here. All right. I love you all. Oh, it's 5 a.m. there, Wendy. Hey, Wendy. How are you, my friend? It's good to see you. Hey, Wendy supported a lot to get me to the trial. So, Wendy, I appreciate it, my friend. I thank you. Okay, that was a weird noise. Kaliza, thank you. I appreciate it. It's very kind of you. Aussie Trisha too. Aussie Trisha's been again a super chat here, but she's done a couple others leading up to and through the trial. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'll open up a new live stream in about 10 minutes for everyone. Yeah, thank you, Aussie Trisha. I appreciate it, and to Sean for the super chat, but also for being a member for 8 months. I appreciate that. And to those other people I mentioned, Kathy Lynn, Sean A, Marjorie, and Betty C. Thank you to all of you. I'll see you in about 10 minutes, okay? Look for the new live stream. We'll talk USA True Crime. I can do both. I'm multi-talented, all right? I can do both in the same day. All right. See you in a little bit. Bye.